Bum, ba, bum, bum, bum. Welcome back, all book club. Here we are. I am Justin. I have today with me Ashley and Brittin. We are one person down. That's okay. We have more than enough books to go around. So this is season 3, episode 6. Going live on June 7th. So let's get excited. I'm going to kick us off with some really traumatizing stories. So I'm only doing one. So the book I decided to read, and it took me a while.
It's a big book.
It is. Delicious Monsters by Liselle Sambury. She's known for Blood Like Magic and Blood Like Fate. I've never read them. This is my first book of hers. I'm starting to like it when authors give a content warning, like an author's note with a content warning to kind of let you know what this book is kind of all about, and maybe some like trigger warnings. So that is definitely appreciated. And it is a psychological thriller, horror, in totally not my genre. I don't know why I picked it up, but let's get into it. So
it's not even October.
I know. It's crazy. I promise next month lighter reads for beach reads or something. I don't know. So we have 2 points of views. The first point of view is Daisy, and she's basically the center of the story. She has, just gotten off in a really bad relationship. This boy man man-child basically is like already moved on with another girl and like pretending that their relationship never even existed, like just totally slandering her to like all his friends and all her friends, and it's just a bad situation.
Not cool.
So you also find out that her relationship with her parents, so her dad's not really in the picture, but it's her mom and her against the world. They live in like Toronto, and they basically live paycheck to paycheck. It's hard. Life is hard. So they basically inherit this house from her mother. Her mom's name is Grace, and they inherit this mansion. And this is like their way out. This is how they're going to get that leg up and finally make money, and they have grand ideas for this. So the mother, Grace, was like, let's do it. Let's pack our stuff. Let's do it. You're with me or you're not. And she's like, I got nothing here. So let's do this. But you find out a little secret about her right away. She can see ghosts.
Cool.
Ooh. And it's not like, Casper, the friendly ghost.
No.
These are really evil ghosts that will literally lick the salty tears from your face when you're not even
that's
paying it.
Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah,
Is it?
Yeah.
So yes. So I was really terrified the first couple of pages. So that, just know that is also happening. So the story then turns around to Brittany, and it's a decade later, and she has like a show with her friend coworker named Jaden, and they basically go around and explore and kind of figure out haunted houses.
Ooh.
So the story runs parallel with Daisy's story because they're trying to figure out a mystery that happened back when Daisy first got there. So
I like books that do that.
It's so well done. Okay, so disclaimer. It's huge. It is a doorstopper. She did lose me a little bit in the middle, but the ending and the plot twist totally makes up for it. It's really good. Again, it's more of just dissection of mother and daughter relationships, really horrific things that can happen to you, and just how you either deal with it or you don't deal with it, and how it just kind of, it's a generational thing that you just keep passing it on. It's so well done. So I did stick around. I did finish it, and I do recommend it. But again, it gets a little confusing in the middle, but it gets better. There's lots of really, I think it's atmospheric is the word I would use, because she definitely paints. Oh my God, like everything is so scary. I literally towards the end, towards the last maybe 60 pages of it, I'm like, biting my teeth, like nails, like trying to like figure out like what's what, and just getting freaked out by the birds and all this stuff. So again, I definitely would recommend if you like horror, if you like to kind of keep guessing what's happening, but it's not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of trigger warnings, so just be warned. But I definitely would recommend 2 thumbs up. Another lighter book.
Oh my God.
Also a door stopper.
Passing the torch over to Ashley here.
Clearly had a theme going on without intending for it to be so. But Brittin and I both decided to read Stephen King's The Stand. Now, this, speaking of trigger warnings, my word, there's a lot to unpack in this book, and I am genuinely so excited to talk about it. I decided to read it because I was watching The Last of Us. And for those of you who don't know what The Last of Us is all about, it's based on a video game. But basically, this fungus grows and is able to be contracted by people. And then eventually what it ends up doing is it takes over their bodies and they end up dying from it. Mm-hmm. It's a post-apocalyptic kind of story, and the show was wildly popular, and I started thinking of what books can I read? And I'm glad that I read this after COVID, because during COVID would have been absolutely terrifying. So the basis of The Stand is a pandemic happens. There's a super flu that is released. It is man-made, and it just spreads like wildfire. And the opening scenes of the book are some of the most shocking, and it talk about like just sucking you right in.
For people who are listening and not seeing, Brittin also read this book, and she just convulsed, like she just
yeah. So the opening scenes is they're at a gas station, at like a diner that's attached to a gas station, and a car rolls up, and it's
in slow motion.
In slow motion, and it doesn't seem to be actually being driven by anybody, because there are corpses in the car.
Oh my God.
So they open it, but they're not just like 2 dead people. Like, the description is truly something that will haunt me forever, because I can see it. I know exactly what that looked like, what it smelled like, and what must have been going through their heads. Then one by one person gets sick, another person gets sick, another person gets sick, and somebody has the sniffles, and someone 10 miles away coughs into their shoulder. Like, the way Stephen King writes is just, like, it gives you chills, because he just encapsulates that fear of
There's like a newscast, and they're talking about, they're hiding it, but then somebody sneezes off screen. It's that kind of little thing that makes you go, oh.
Yeah. And I think what the reason why I genuinely love this book, and forever I said that 11/22/63 by Stephen King is always my favorite book, but this, I think, rivals that.
That's some strong
It's
words.
a bold statement, but I truly mean it. And I think, now I do like horror. I've always liked reading horror. Stephen King is one of my favorite authors, but this book does such a good job of creating a circumstance that's totally plausible. Mm-hmm. You can absolutely see this happening, and you find yourself putting yourself in these characters' shoes and thinking, oh my God, I never thought that that's something you'd have to deal with. For example, the one character is pregnant, and she's traveling with somebody who ends up having to have he has appendicitis. So they have no doctors. Ew. And all she's thinking is, God, I hope it's not a C-section.
Yeah.
So you don't think about that until you realize, like, oh my God, you're right. Gosh. And then they also have characters who are in a jail cell, and all of the guards are dead. Who's feeding them?
They're trapped.
Right. So you don't think about those kinds of things, and like just little details that you think, like, oh, the apocalypse happens. Okay, so you have to filter through grocery stores, and but there's no one making the grocery products. There's no farmers. Everybody's gone.
No electricity.
There's no electricity. There's nothing. So these kinds of horrors kind of crop up, and you're like, wow, I never would have thought about that. Like, that's truly terrifying to think about. And it is a story of good versus evil. There are 2 groups, and another thing that I really like about Stephen King is he makes references to a lot of his books pop up in other books. So in this one, the characters that they're focusing on keep having the same dreams, and they refer to it as The Shining. So very interesting that ability to have the same dreams is called The Shining. So
he's just so brilliant.
He really is. And
sick, but brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to be a little twisted to write what he writes.
And I say that with the utmost respect. Mr. King, if you're listening, I love your work.
We're fans.
Big fans. So some of your more salacious, not so great characters are dreaming about Randall Flagg, and he is the Dark Man. And they feel like a calling to him. And everybody else kind of also dreams of the Dark Man, but in a bad way, where they're like, ooh, we need to not go to him. Whereas some are like, no, we need to find him. Those are the nightmares, right? And then they also dream of this little old black lady, Mother Abigail, who's the good side. So you have that classic good versus evil, and you just try to see how the pieces crumble and how they're able to rebuild this world with the few people and resources that they have. But to go back to my one statement about Brittin's already shaking her head.
Oh, gosh.
About things that you just don't think about. And when you read this book, you're like, oh, I'm forever going to think of this.
Forever.
If you're ever going into the city and you decide to take the Lincoln Tunnel.
Never again.
No, I'm just going to read one paragraph because the one character, Larry, is faced with the decision of, do I enter this tunnel that is jam-packed with cars, that is pitch black, to get to New Jersey, to continue to leave the city.
These people all died in a traffic jam.
Yeah. Correct.
In the tunnel.
So
and the electricity's out.
Right. Right. So your logical brain is thinking, well, they're dead.
Right.
There's nothing can get you.
Nothing.
But your fear starts to come in, and you're like, but there might be something there that could get me. And
it's like when you have to go down to the basement.
Yeah, exactly.
And like nothing's down there, but like the light.
Exactly. So I'm just going to read the one part because it's just so well done. So it says, Larry stood sweating, trying to make up his mind whether to go into the tunnel or not. The solid darkness provided the perfect theater screen on which the mind could play out its fantasies. He saw grim-eyed soldiers in germ-proof suits crouched behind a machine gun equipped with an infrared peeper scope, their job to cut down any stragglers who tried to come through the tunnel. One single soldier left behind, a suicide volunteer, wearing infrared goggles and creeping toward him with a knife in his teeth. 2 soldiers quietly loading a mortar with a single poison gas canister. So this is just happening in his mind, that he thinks he's going to see these things. Okay. And though that is basically, it's frozen in time. All of these people died in a moment that the military was trying to keep them in, and they were trying to leave. So he can see that all these people died in this circumstance of trying to escape. It's ooh, I have chills this whole time talking about this. It's just so
I got
good.
So when Ashley told me she was going to read this, I read this a decade or more ago, and I actually listened to it. And when she said she was going to listen to it, I was like, all right, I'm going to have to listen to that again. It's been a decade.
Yeah.
But I had mentioned there are 3 scenes in particular that have stuck with me. And I got to tell you, after reading the entire scene about the Lincoln Tunnel, I've never been through that tunnel again without thinking about that scene.
Oh, my gosh.
And
I already have
just
a phobia.
A master. He really is amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
It really... It's something about, like, it's well known that, like, dark water and darkness itself is an innate human fear. And it's truly the fear of the unknown. You don't know what you're seeing. And your mind plays games with you.
Right.
So you have to put yourself in Larry's shoes. So Larry's looking at this where the world is gone. He doesn't know what's on the other side of this tunnel. And he also doesn't know what's in that tunnel. So he's standing there with this decision of, like, do I want to face what's in this tunnel? What am I going to face when I get out of it? Like, that could be just as bad.
Could be just as worse.
And he has like a little tiny flashlight. And It's just, there's one part where he trips and he drops it, and you're sitting here reading it, and you're like, no, oh no, and I literally stopped and I closed the book and I was like, oh my God, like what is he going to do now? Because he just had this tiny little like pen light,
Oh no!
and then that was gone too. And he feels just like in The Shining, because Stephen King does a really good job with this, like feeling like somebody's following you. He feels that there's somebody on his tail.
Gosh.
And you'll, if you read it, you'll see who it ends up being. But it is truly a phenomenal read. And people say that this is like his masterwork. Like
It's my favorite. I mean, I have to say, I love The Shining, the book. I think this is my favorite, though. And it's, like I said, I reread this or re-listened to it.
Yeah.
What did we say it is? It's over 1,000 pages. This is not a quick and easy read, but it is so worth it.
Yes.
It's really, and I thought, okay, well, I'll just, dip back into it, kind of refresh my memory, but you can't stop.
No.
Yeah,
Because
it's that good.
And every chapter does focus. You have a crew of characters, and every chapter typically does jump to character, so it keeps you very much like
I saw that
interested.
they made a show about it recently. So if anybody out there has watched a show and actually would like to be scared, I think they should read the book.
The book is just so good. But obviously, that was my one and only book.
Well, I mean, we can't expect you to read two after
not after
that doorstop.
But yeah.
Well, I read like 1.5, but I was traveling a lot, so I was listening to this. So I read The Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich, which is a graphic novel.
I love that. That's
a great read.
Best.
And it's awesome because the whole book. So this is by Deya Muniz. I think I'm saying it right. Mm-hmm. So we're in the kingdom of fromage.
I love it already.
The Count of Camembert is trying to get his daughter to marry, and she doesn't want to marry anybody. And she finally is like, "Why are you forcing me?" And he tells her he's dying. And she, in the kingdom of fromage, you cannot, as a woman, inherit. So he says, all right.
Typical.
Yeah. I have an idea. Cut your hair, take my clothes, go away.
Okay.
Take only the servant who's raised you, Feda. I love Feda. And go someplace else and be the new Count Camembert. So she does. She takes Feda with her, and she's laying low. They're both laying low, and Camembert goes by Cam. She can't take it anymore. Mm-hmm. So she gets invited to a no fur or anti-fur ball by Princess Brie, who's the princess of the kingdom.
Awesome.
And Cam loves fashion, has always loved fashion. And we don't quite know what's happening, but Cam's like, I've got the perfect thing. And makes a big splash, gets to be friends with Princess Brie and her two closest friends, Ricotta and Gorgonzola.
These names are fabulous.
And they have grilled cheese. They love grilled cheese. And it's like the palace, they can make better grilled cheese. It's a really sweet story. Some feelings develop between Brie and Cam, but Cam can't let on that she's a girl. Mm-hmm. So it's really sweet. It's very endearing and funny. I mean, her dog's name is Gouda. I mean, it just,
one of my favorites.
It's just very cute and very sweet. And
exactly what you needed after
exactly. And the artwork, I really like the artwork. It has sort of a tiny touch of manga in there. Mm-hmm. It's got a lot of energy in it, despite being sort of pastel and soothing as well. So
totally reading this after.
Definitely recommend this one, and it's a good palate cleanser after a few
necessary.
horror. Yeah, definitely
necessary.
And I'm also listening to. Now I'm going to forget the title. It's Last Chance Dance.
Okay.
And this one is another contemporary romance. Well, I guess the Princess and the Grilled Cheese. I almost said grated cheese. Princess and the Grilled Cheese is fantasy. But for Last Chance Dance, our heroine, Layla, has been dating her boyfriend, Dev. They have been voted cutest couple It's just after prom. They're getting ready. They're planning out how they're going to be continuing their relationship from different colleges when he breaks up with her.
Oh, of course.
So, she's kind of going through the what just happened and all of that. But luckily, her school has a tradition of what they call the last chance dance. And everybody who wants to names their crushes. They all submit them. And if your crush matches up,
Aw.
so you get
That's
three.
adorable.
You get up to 3 matches. And now they also have a wild card, which an algorithm spits out someone that you didn't mention, but they think would be a good match. So we got a little, nod to online dating.
Wow.
So Layla's going through this, trying to both get over Dev, maybe try and make Dev jealous, make him see what he's missing, make him come back to her. But she's also watching him going through all of his. And I'm really enjoying it. It's fun.
Who is it by?
It's by Lakita Wilson, I believe is the name.
Okay.
Yes.
That sounds like
That's
fun.
what I wrote down. I'm enjoying it. I have not finished it yet. They have a week to date their various matches and try and see who really is a good match and hope that that person doesn't match with someone else because they're all on social media. So you look and you're like, I'm on a date with Bree, but Bree was on a date with, so.
It reminds me of when you were in high school, and I don't know if anybody has had this, but they had these computer-generated, matches for Valentine's Day.
I didn't have that.
No, I didn't have that.
It was so stupid, but you'd have to pay to get your results.
Oh,
Oh my
I'm
God.
not kidding. They made a lot of money because kids were super interested in it.
Capitalism.
Yeah, but it was stupid. But it was kind of like you would submit your name if you were interested to find out who else who submitted your name and stuff like that, and then you would see whose list you came up on and stuff like that.
The most we had at our high school was you get to send your crush a carnation.
Oh yeah, we had the carnation.
That's about it. We don't have that. That sounds like fun though.
Yeah,
But it's
fun.
dangerous too, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
There was it definitely invited a lot of drama unnecessarily.
Wow, way to have the school is very involved in children's social
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was wrong.
For money.
They probably should.
For
And
money.
it's for
Yeah.
It was some small company, but that came in to do it, and it was right around when they were doing the carnations and stuff for everybody. But
that's
in hindsight, I'm that was a bad idea. I don't think they should have done that.
who is in charge?
very
All
funny.
right. Well,
So yeah, some lighter stuff on the end, but
we promise next go around that we'll probably try to stick to nicer
I give no
peach
guarantees.
treats.
I don't know. There's a lot of good sort of psychological horror
Really?
coming out, I think. So.
I know.
Oh gosh.
no
like what?
guarantees.
Like what? What do we
Well,
let-
okay, so the
This-
delicious
yes.
monsters, but then also She's a Haunting.
I
I really
saw
like that one. That looks really good to me.
Yeah.
The cover is very.
It does. It's very.
I still
creepy.
haven't read Clown in a Cornfield, which
I don't want to do
know,
that.
yeah.
I'm not
So
going to do
good.
that to myself.
Loved it. Fantastic.
And there's another one that I just checked out that I don't know if it's horror, but it does seem like there's some tension building in there. Into the Light by Marco Shiro.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain they're making Clown in a Cornfield into a movie.
I think they might be. Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Oh, and speaking of which, I know you were telling me about Kitty.
Yeah.
Exo Kitty. Yeah.
So I started watching Exo Kitty,
Oh,
and
is it
now I'm hooked.
good?
I'm like,
Aw.
really? Did I really need this?
Yes.
I mean, if you were going to watch the movie, you watch the, hour and a half,
Right.
2-hour
Yeah.
movie, and, you watch
Yeah.
Laura Jean and Peter. or
Oh, by
whoever
the
else,
way,
but
audience,
now-
we are talking about P.S. I Love You.
P.S. I Love You,
Yeah.
yes.
So this is her sister. It's her spin-off
Right,
show. Kitty.
right,
Kitty
yeah.
gets the spotlight.
Kitty doesn't have a
Wait.
book to herself, but Laura Jean from P.S. I Love You it's a whole
Yeah.
trilogy.
Is that the title? P.S. I Love You? Isn't that a Gerard Butler movie?
Oh wait! Oh, did I mess it up?
Yeah.
Oh
Wait,
no, I'm thinking of the third
P.S.
one.
It's P.S.
if only we had some sort of
I
digital
know.
search
If
engine.
only we
So it's
had.
To All the Boys I
Oh,
Loved
To All the
Before.
To All the Boys I'd Loved Before,
Is the
but there is
first
a
one.
P.S.
Yes.
P.S. I still love you.
And then
Yes.
it's the last
Love
one.
Laura Jean is the last one, I thought.
Oh man, now we're all gonna have to
Oh
look it
no,
up.
somebody like this.
They're Laura Hahn's books.
Yeah.
right, Laura?
Jenny Hunt.
Jenny.
Jenny. See,
huh?
we
Good
don't.
old
We're not
Jenny.
getting anything. All right,
We
next
love
time
you,
I
Jenny.
won't throw in
We
anything
promise.
unplanned like
Hold
this.
on.
It's okay. No, it's good. It's good for us to compare
But the kitty show is cute. Have either of you seen
I have
any of it?
not. I have
Always
not.
and Forever, Lara Jean is the last one.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
P.S. I Still Love You is the second one.
Correct.
Yeah.
So All the Boys I Loved Before, and then P.S. I Still Love You. I was
Yes.
gonna say because I'm
Sorry.
pretty sure
P.S. I Love You.
that
You're
was
right.
with
It is Gerard Butler,
Butler.
and that is also a very good book by Cecilia Ahern. If anybody wants to get their heart broken,
No.
yes, it's such a good book though. I still think about it to this day.
Don't need any heartbreakers.
Yeah. So on that note, thank you, ladies, for joining me and sharing your reads. We will be back next month, hopefully with some lighter.
Maybe.
No
Some
guarantee.
lighters. Not saying it'll all be
I will
light.
probably stick to lighter ones this time
Yeah,
around,
we'll
but
see.
we'll see. Maybe I will pick up a Stephen King for
Oh my
the
gosh!
summer.
Please.
I did decide that I wanted to like reread Jennifer Nielsen's The Ascension series, which
Yeah.
is so good. I forgot how good it was. So I think I might like just randomly plug that in next time around. But
I'll think of a shorter Stephen King for you because
Okay.
my recommendations are all over 1,000 pages. So
don't have that kind of time.
I'll think of a shorter one. That's good.
If there's an audiobook, maybe I'll stick to the audio. But
Yeah.
again, that's 45 hours of my
Yeah,
life.
you can't do it on Libby. I mean, not unless you have a lot of free time.
No, I do
You
not.
can't do it in the 2-week time
I do not.
turnaround.
I just have to keep renewing it. Alrighty. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
We'll see everybody next month.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Alrighty. Bye.
Bye.